Are we live? I think we're live. Oh my god. I got a villain in the chat. Like, I like to read the way he wrote as a villain. It's like, this has been happening since he took over. You guys just been ignoring it and worshipping him like little schoolgirls, blind enough to see the truth that he was a dictator, a fascist. He was banning my friends left and right. But all of you have worshipped on the altar the cult of Elon Musk. What is wrong with you people? How could you not have seen? How could you have been so blind to the truth? Hello, chat. But seriously though, it's kind of funny, you know. You go in, you look at the chat, and the first thing you see is like the doom is coming, the apocalypse. Social media is not safe. You thought that Twitter will keep you safe, but no, you worshipped him. You fed him your power, and now look what he is doing to you. I have tried to warn you. I have tried to warn you for months, but you chose not to listen. Now you will deal with the consequences of your actions. Every single forum I go, there's like one of those people. Did you notice that? It's like, what exactly did you expect? I don't like, okay, let me put it this way. Let me read to you a tweet that I saw today. Hold on, let me scroll down. So you got Elon Musk in a conversation with another gentleman, and the conversation went like this. I don't know who these people are, by the way. Why did Elon Musk lie about the H-1B visa? And the answer is, where did I lie, you liar? Answer the question. And then you have like this gentleman with a cross, right? Displaying his piety, his virtue. Like, I am the Christian, I got Jesus on my side. Did your son become trans because of how often you were molesting him? Honest question. And so, I posted this and I said, this is why we're going to get more moderation on the fucking platform. I mean, you know, what is going to happen? See, here's my question. Have these people used the internet back in the day? Like, have these people ever used an internet forum back in the day? Because you would find a moderator on a forum that was kind of chill. And then you go to him and you're being a cheeky little shit about it. Push him too far. And then he bans you. It's like, see, I told you. Okay, yeah, you were right. Like, okay, you got banned. And this was going on the entire day. Apparently, they even faked a screenshot of him. And in that screenshot, he was saying that he deleted a tweet saying, like, why would I hire Americans when it's cheaper to hire illegals? Now, I knew that it has to be fake, because if this was like something he said like 2 or 3 years ago, it would have made sense. But like, to say something like this now in the midst of the controversy, no, right? So like, in retaliation, he banned an account which had a golden check mark. Like, those are expensive. Those are like 1,000 or 2,000. And not only did he ban that account, but he banned every other account associated with him. And apparently it was the Groypers. So like, the Groypers have been eradicated. Probably not all of them, but a huge chunk. And it's like, is there a problem with my microphone? Hold on. And I got Jesus on my side. But like, to say something like this now, and apparently it was the Groypers. No, my microphone is fine. I can hear myself, huh? Yeah, it sounds fine to people. I am good, right? No, here's the thing that I don't get. I come to realize it, to realize it. This is something that I actually began understanding since 2018. That the internet that I like and love, the uncensored internet of the Wild West, is never coming back. Like, there will never be such a thing as a free speech platform. Ever. Not in my lifetime. I find it very difficult to believe that we will ever get something like the internet from the early 2000s. And so the best thing you can get is platforms that allow more free speech than others. And I think like Twitter allows kind of like maybe 70%, 80% of free speech. Like, you kind of get the vibe. You kind of get the things of what you're not allowed to talk about, right? So, like, on Twitter, you can talk about a lot of things. You can talk about trans issues. You can talk about LGBT issues. You can be pro-Israel. You can talk about Ukraine. You can talk about the economy. You can be more right-wing. You can talk against identity politics. But you can't talk about Jewish people because the ADL is watching. And you can't talk... you can talk shit about Elon Musk. But you can't really talk shit about the H-1B visas. And you can't talk shit about people from India. It's just the plan. Like, you get the vibe, you know? But you can misgender people. You can do other things, right? So... the thing that I got is, like, there's different platforms from different things. You know, you wanna be a little bit more anti-Semitic, you gotta go on Gab. You wanna be a little bit more, to show a little bit more lewdness and stuff, you go on Twitter. You wanna shit talk Elon Musk, you go on YouTube. And unfortunately, this is the way we're going to move forward. It's just, pick the platform to talk the shit you want to talk about. Because there's not going to be that one platform where you can literally talk anything you want. It's not Xitter, it's Xitter. Why did you get banned? I'm looking at your avatar and seeing what happened today, and I'm trying to... The thing though, like, look, before we move on to the next thing, like, I'm looking at this, right? And you have Elon Musk. It's like, why did Elon Musk lie about the H-1B visas? Where did I lie, you liar? Answer the question. Did your son become trans? Of how often you were molested? I don't, like, I thought, even in my world of cheeky little shittiness, I thought that going after someone's children is a really low blow. But no, seriously, it's a scummy move. It's a dick move. Like, don't go after people that aren't involved. Unless, like, the kid is on Twitch and doing political activism, like he's got his own talk show, or it's like a Greta Thunberg talking to world leaders and shit. Leave the kids out of it. I mean, look, I would look poorly at another person if they don't retaliate for doing this. Like, I would be like, are you not a human being? Like, are you a Vulcan, a robot or something that is completely devoid of all emotions? That someone says something like this to you and you have the power to upset them and you don't use it. And so, yeah, I mean, with that, I don't blame them. With Laura Luber, I do blame him. Like, Laura Luber was a little bit different. Laura Luber, apparently he came out of the blue. Like, no one expected that she would get her checkmark removed. His argumentation is thusly. The blue check marks on Twitter are built based on the old system. So if you get verified, you're kind of like a trusted person, right? Like, the algorithm trusts your decisions more. And if you block or mute someone while you have a check mark, it negatively affects that person's reach. And so if a lot of people with blue check marks are blocking or muting one account, you are destroying the reach of that account. So basically, Elon was suggesting that what Laura Luber was doing was to encourage her followers to block and mute people. I don't think that's the case. I think that's cope. But that is his explanation. The whole thing is just like, my fucking God, I don't even understand. The whole H-1B visa thing is so fucking retarded. Like, even if you remove it, companies will find loopholes around it. Like, let me give you an example, right? Let's say there is no H-1B visa starting tomorrow. And, like, here's one of the workaround. A multinational corporation can just open an office in another country where they want the labor, and they get the labor from there. It's why it's called a multinational corporation, right? So, like, for instance, Twitter. Like, let's say Twitter wants to hire more coders that are of Indian descent. They just open an office in fucking India. And they hire people from there. Or they open an office in, I don't know, Philippines or some shit. The reason that Elon Musk went after this is baffling. The only reason that I can think of is that it is a form of indentured servitude in the fact that, okay, well, the people that you get with the H-1B visa, they can't unionize. They're not going to be able to, I understand, like, changing companies is very difficult. They're very unlikely to sue you for anything. You can freeze their wages. And you can always threaten them, hey, you should come Saturday morning to work. Because if you don't, I mean, we're not going to fire you, but like, we may downsize your department, etc., etc. But here's my take, right? Because this is the argument that you can use against this. Because apparently they're saying, well, no, because this is like the kindness of our heart. It's from the compassion that we want to hire these people, right? And it's our compassion and it's your hatred. Like when we hire people with a visa, it's because we're compassionate. It's because we care about the little guy. I mean, they're impoverished, but they're so smart. Meanwhile, you're just hateful. And so the conversation should be thusly. If you're doing it out of compassion, surely you wouldn't mind if the government taxes you a little bit. Just like China gets taxed with tariffs by Donald Trump, and he's like, okay, you guys want to move your industry to China and make cars there and then sell them here? We're going to have tariffs. So too should companies that hire H-1B people should get a tax. Because the justification can be thusly. It can be, okay, so you literally cannot find anyone with this skill in the entire United States. Like 350 million people, you're looking for something that's like beyond genius level. Okay, you can hire him. You can get your... Interesting how they're not all Japanese, right? Like, that's also interesting. But, like, you can hire that person, but you gotta pay a tax. Of course, in exchange, you get the benefits of hiring the brightest on Earth, right? Because this is what it is. Like, you're hiring the brightest man. You're hiring the Lumiere of Earth. And so, like, that's what you get. You get, like, someone that can improve your AI and create technology like the world has never seen. You're hiring the new Albert Einstein, but you gotta pay a tax. Because that's the MAGA way, right? Like, that's the way that Trump does things, with the tariffs. Y'all forgot about SpaceX. The thing with SpaceX, no, I didn't forget about it. Like, the thing with SpaceX is very interesting. Because I heard Elon Musk being upset about it a couple of months ago during the Biden administration. So during the Biden administration, Elon Musk was upset that he is getting investigated by the DOJ for hiring only white people. And then Elon Musk said, it's like, motherfuckers, you made the rule that if it's something like rockets, and by the way, like, I think social media should have the same rule. I don't know why social media is different, because it should be considered critical infrastructure. But basically in the United States, if you work with rockets, they're considered of national security. Or I don't know how they classify it, but basically you're only forced to hire Americans. So like, Elon Musk was upset. It's like, you're forcing me to hire Americans, and then you're punishing me for hiring Americans. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? if you get on Facebook and try to talk like you're on Twitter, you get banned. Exactly. I'm trying to explain this to people, but for some fucking reason, they don't understand. And they want to make Twitter the new Facebook. And I'm like, why? Well, probably it's because like they have other social media websites, or I don't know. Hi V. Today I hope everything is good though, Mr. Ors today. Mr. Ors is on Sunday. I don't know if he's going to join or not. I haven't asked him. But he actually does know a little bit more about the corporate environment, and we can actually talk with the visas about him. Trump hired Linda Yaccarino, WEF member in 2018, to be his sports advisor. It's not about like the experience that you have. See, you gotta understand how the world works. And most of the world understands this, but for some reason, Americans are a little bit delusional. It's not what you know, it's who you blow. Like, literally, it's about the connections that you have. It's not about, like, your ability, especially when it's about things like talking to the public. Like, it's not really your ability to talk to the public that's important. It's who the connections are, right? Can you reach the brands? Can you reach the advertisers? Can you... do you have friends that can make things happen? That's what matters. It's like... I don't think corporations are the enemy, by the way. I think that the problem is over-regulations. Because if you did... here's the problem that most people are having. The problem most people are having is that they want jobs. That's literally it. I don't understand why South Park mocks individuals that want jobs. Like, why is it so funny? It's like they took our jobs. Why is that funny? That's not fucking funny. That's actually fucking sad. Like, people want to be productive. You know what would be sad? If people wanted to be on welfare. That would be fucking sad. But people wanting to work is a noble aspiration. Like, people genuinely want to know that they have a place to go to, spend 8 hours a day, and then come home and bring in the money. And so, people are worried that they may not be able to have a job. And no one is telling them, like, what the solution is. People are saying, oh, well, we don't have a job. And so, they're told that they're too lazy to work in the mines. Right? No, actually, the mines are closed because of environmentalism, right? They're told that they're too lazy to do the low-income jobs. Too lazy to truck drive, too lazy to be a plumber, too lazy to be a gardener. They're too lazy. But they're also too retarded in order to do like the other jobs. They're too retarded to do to code, to be an engineer. And so like the question is like, well, what the fuck are they supposed to do? And no one has an answer to that except calling them racists. Like, well, of course they're going to be upset. I love how you're all complaining about globalists, but excuse away Trump hiring globalists and listening to their every word. See, like, this is another thing. People don't understand how politics works. Like seriously, I'm listening to some of the conversations that go on the internet, and it's fucking baffling to me. If you want to become the president of a nation like the United States, or actually any nation, you have like multiple groups of interest and you have to placate to them. Like, you need money, you need the influence. And the idea that like, okay, well, some random guy can just like walk in, ignore all the globalists, ignore all of the power structure, ignore everything, and still win the presidency, it's baffling to me. Like, do you live in a fairy tale? I mean, no, it should be like this, I agree. You know, in a perfect world, anyone could become president. But in reality, you got, like, even within the right-wing party, you got, like, various groups. You got the neocons, you got the other... And if you manage to piss them all off, if you still manage to, like, flip the table and somehow win, they will obstruct everything you do. They will not sign any document. They will refuse to do anything. Like, the media is going to constantly fuck you over. Kind of like what happened with Trump's previous presidency. Like, there is no way that you can just say, well, yeah, we're not going to work with any globalist. Like, the thing that I view it, and this is how the left viewed it, and this is why the left won, is that the left was happy with small victories. Like, the left was already in the mindset that they're the underdog. Like, they were in the mindset that we're the outcasts of society, no one cares about us, right? And then, whenever they got a little victory, they were really happy with it. And so, the idea was like, okay, this guy may not take the ball all the way to the end of the court, but he's taking it like 10%. And that, like, 10% is good for me, because then another guy takes it 5% more. And within 20 years, the left managed to gain power. But they had the underdog mentality. They had like, no, like, everyone hates us. We're at the edge of society. No one is ever going to accept us. But, like, maybe this guy can do something good for us, you know? And so, no, like, here's the thing. Elon Musk is not left-wing. The problem is that the American political compass is completely fucked. Like, Elon Musk is actually the right wing. Like, he is the hyper-capitalist. He's like the pump the wealth no matter what. Like, as long as it makes money, he doesn't fucking care. Like, he wants as little regulations for his business as possible. He wants to maximize his income. He doesn't care about, like, what damage his companies do. Like, he doesn't care all of that. That's right-wing mentality. The left would be like, no, we need to do workers' rights. Like, if you actually read the Karl Marx manifesto, Karl Marx actually speaks how he doesn't want Irish workers because it undermines the value of the English worker. Like, even fucking Karl Marx was getting it. And that was, like, back way then. Have you heard about the article Elon Musk wrote about the AFD in the Welt newspaper? No, I have not. O1 and EB2 are high-talent visas. HB1 is wage theft. Well, apparently, see, this is the interesting thing. And this is why I wanted to make the stream about this. Apparently, Elon Musk has cocked. Now, I don't know if he's actually going to implement what he is saying here. But, like, my God, if he actually does it, it would be amazing. Elon Musk agrees with Scott Jennings' proposal on H-1B visas. The proposal is reform and restrict the current H-1B system. No more abuse, no choosing foreigners in jobs easily filled by qualified Americans. Accept the proven geniuses, the top 0.1 to 1% from other nations. Now, I personally think that this is just PR. You know, like, I don't think he can do it. It's like, okay, accept the proven geniuses, the top 0.1 to 1%. How do you qualify? How do you quantify that? Like, how do you know that the person you're hiring is an actual genius from the top 0.1 to 1%? Like, how can you... Huh? Like, what metric, what system do you use in order to figure out if he actually is the 0.1% and he's not the 2%? And also, like, I think this is already what's doing it. Like, it's already working this way, right? Like, it already is supposed to work like this. But still, let's assume, for the sake of the argument, just hypothetically, best case scenario, that Elon Musk actually advises Donald Trump and they actually look into the H-1B system and they reform it in a way that most people are happy. Can you imagine the fucking optics, though? Can you imagine the fucking optics? So, like, on the left, whenever there's, like, disagreement, the party comes with a solution and then there's censorship. And so, you know, like on the Israel-Palestinian conflict, like, the party says we're going to support Israel, anyone else gets the banhammer. Was Hassan Piker the one that was escorted out of the DNC? I think he was. I may be wrong. But yeah, that's how things are done on the left, right? It's like you're just being told, you're informed. This is what's going to go down. Now imagine if on the right you actually do have a disagreement and a spurg out and accounts get banned and shit, but at the end of the day, reform is actually made. Like, they actually listen to the community, to their voters. That would be wild. I don't think it will happen, but that would be fucking wild. Like that, you know, like actual conversation, and Elon Musk got ass hurt, and, you know, but like at the end of the day, he's like, you know what, mate, fine. Let's meet halfway. Not do what they want to do, ban some of them, but like still listen to their grievances and meet them halfway. 0.1% is 1 million. It's not 1% of the world population though, right? It's 1% of the people in that field. I don't think there's 1 million engineers. The issue is they told Americans they couldn't get jobs without 60,000 educational debt. Well, yeah, I mean, see, this is another thing. Like, I can understand why Americans are butthurt about this. Like, you gotta pay your own college, right? And after that, you get a degree. And without the degree, most HR ladies may not even look at you. And so you paid a lot of money, you get the education, and now you're competing with someone that doesn't have the debt. But here's the problem with America, because I actually looked into this, and I actually asked people that are employers, and they told me, it's like, look, the American education system is fucked. And he means that, like, I was talking with a guy that's hiring for an actual IT job, and he told me, it's like, look, I got people coming in from universities, right? Like prestigious universities with degrees. And the moment I hired them, when they encounter a problem, they don't know what to do. Like they're really good if you actually spoon feed them. If you tell them how to do things step by step, right? So like as long as they have a flow chart, as long as you're guiding them and holding their hand, like they're doing the job. But the moment you leave them alone, they don't think for themselves. Like they do not have the ability to think for themselves. Meanwhile, you get a person that learned to code themselves, you know, went to a coding boot camp or is self-taught, and when that person encounters a problem, like he actually knows to go on the internet, he goes on forums, he researches, he finds out how to solve the problem. And it's like, okay, so the universities are mind-fucking people. It's from my understanding, like from what this guy was saying, like the universities are infantilizing the students to the point where they can't think for themselves. Like they only know what to think, but they can't think for themselves. And so like this is indeed a problem if it's the case. But if this is the case, then the next question is like, okay, so what are the reforms? Because you can't leave the system like that. You can't just say, okay, well, the problem is the American educational system. Which maybe, you know, like maybe it's woke as fuck and, you know, students are traumatized with microaggression and other shit at the universities that have nothing to do with coding. But if that's the case, what is the reform? Like, where do we go from here? How do you solve it? I'm self-taught, micro soldier and repair everything from Atari to PS5, and a lot of the community is self-taught. Yeah, I mean, I do notice a rise in people that are self-taught. What was that? Tom Clancy's book, Executive Decision. TK, thank you for the $5. 1% of India is still 10 million people. Why do people keep counting the 1% of India? You're counting the number of people that are required for that job. So, like, if you want a coder, you only look at the 1% of coders. That's enough people to drive down wages. Massively in the USA, a country of 340 million people. There's one more thing, though. And I do agree with this, but for different reasons. You know, like when they say that the jobs that America don't want to do. I kind of get it. Like, how many Americans want to live in California? Because that's another question, right? Like, what type of man wants to live in that shithole? It's California. Like we're not talking about, you know, every job. We're talking specifically about big tech. And if they require you to go to the office and work in California, my brother in Christ, many Americans won't. Like, there was, I think, like, what was her name? Fuck, Lara Loomer? Yeah, like, Lara Loomer was saying that $70,000 is not sustainable for a family of two, right? So, and a lot of people were mocking her, and they were like, well, hold on a little bit. How can you not live with $70,000? And I was like, initially, I too was like a little bit bewildered. Like, hold on, like $70,000, like that's a very comfortable lifestyle, right? So let's see, 70,000 divided by 12, that's $6,000 a month. No, not two people, just one person, right? Like if you make $6,000 a month, right? Is it a good life or is it a bad life? Lara Luber says it's a bad life. And a lot of people were mocking Lara Luber. A lot of people were saying that she's full of shit, that she's disconnected, she doesn't understand how reality is on the ground. And that's the thing, what the Joker said, it depends on the city. Because $6,000 a month in California, you're fucked. From what like it's really chump change. So, you get $6,000 a month, right? Which means, as someone said, $3,000 after taxes. But let's assume that it's $6,000 after you pay the taxes, right? So you got $6,000, and I looked at the rent, and like one of the cheapest places close to the Silicon Valley is around $3,000 a month, just the rent. So like, you may get paid $6,000, but after paying rent, you get $3,000. And out of those $3,000, you still need to buy clothing, you still need to buy the utilities, right? Water, electricity, internet connection, public transport to go to work, or gas if you have a car. So yeah, like $70,000 in California, that's not a lot. Yeah, it's below the poverty line. And on top of that, you live in fucking California. I mean, right? Like, it's... Utilities are cheap. I still think it can add up to $500 in total, right? Like, if you pay your internet, you pay your electricity, you pay your water, and then also... If you live in an apartment complex, you know, they may require, the homeowner association may demand some money. Utilities aren't cheap. I don't know, some people say they are, some people say they're not. I do know, though, that chances are it's 500. Like, if in Romania it's 500, I don't think in California it's that cheaper. Jokes on you, I live in a cardboard box with no utilities or clothes. Jesus. I live in a town with no stoplight. Rent here is $1,700. Jesus, do you know how much rent is in Romania? $100. $100. Well, maybe now it's 200. No air conditioning costs. Jesus. Indians would love Scat Francisco. Man, wasn't there like an app that showed that there's like one, like there's an app that just shows the poop in San Francisco. And you're looking at the app and it's all over the fucking place. How is California even exist at this point? It's Saudi Arabia. Honestly, California is the American version of Saudi Arabia. Like, Saudi Arabia has massive income disparity between the wealthy and the have-nots. And so too does San Francisco. Like, it has some of the richest people, and it also has one of the largest homeless population in the United States. Saudi Arabia has a very aggressive religion. It's got Wahhabism. And San Francisco, it's got the woke ideology on steroids. And Saudi Arabia, the way it manages to pay for everything is with oil. And San Francisco, it's got Silicon Valley, which takes money from everywhere else. And so it's very similar. In what village is rent $100? A one-room apartment in my town. I did correct myself and I said 200. It was 100 before the COVID came. So, like, most prices doubled. So now it's probably around 200. A one-room apartment In Nicolina, for instance, it's like $200. Holy shit, American Outlier. Jesus Christ. I'm going to give him a like. I agree about self-taught. Even though I have a master's in data science, so to transition from history to coding is a jump. I know because I did it. I'm a senior data engineer, and my current job I had completed multi-layer tabular dataset project soloing. I don't know what that is, but it sounds high-tech. The thing is, like, yeah, no, like, many people are appreciating individuals that are self-taught. And to be honest, me too. Like, when I was working for my video game and I hired people, I only hire people that are self-taught. The ones that went to university are more expensive because they're fart sniffers. And on top of that, they charge more. And they don't necessarily bring the quality. The only exception is my coder. But it's only because like I like him as a person and I trust him. Otherwise, like the fact that he went to university doesn't really do it for me. It's I was paying 200 euros for one room in Bucharest in 2017. Yeah, but Bucharest is the fucking capital, man. I'm more to the edge, more closer to Ukraine. By the way, when is Trump going to have to talk to Putin? Because I'm actually curious what will happen. Everyone on television is constantly talking the Ukraine, the Ukraine, the Ukraine. Like, can't they wait a little bit? Just freeze the conflict a little bit, let Trump talk and see what's up? By the way, wouldn't it be interesting if the Democrats start being against the visas? Because I heard Bernie Sanders talk about it. And again, like, ideologically speaking, the Democrats are supposed to be against big corporations. Like, the Democrats are the ones supposed to be like, oh, look, we like all minorities, but we don't appreciate the way that the visas are being abused. Like, we see workers that have the visa dangled on top of their head and they can't unionize. The workers, they crave for unions, they crave for rights, but they can't because of the visas. They can't change the company. They gotta come to work on every Saturday. Because I see Destiny. Like, look, Destiny is already sharing less spicy memes. And I find it very interesting. I find it omoshiroi. It's like, are we going to see left-leaning people now driving the wedge? To be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if 4 years from now, the new elections, like, this may actually be a talking point that the Democrat Party would have. Like, it would be very interesting. TK, I pay $850 a month for a 2-bedroom in the middle of Kansas. It's got really out of hand. Well, hold on a little bit. If you had a 1-room bedroom, it would have been like $400 a month, right? So that's not that expensive compared to the rest of the world. Your town is third in size in the country, and the major university center. No way it's much cheaper. Just fucking look it up, like you got the internet. Jesus. This is 40 chess from Elon, I think. No. I don't think it's 40 chess from Elon. I think he's legitimately Asmad. Like, I've never seen him so Asmad. You had, like, people accusing him of treason and, like, wishing harm and ill upon him, and he was always chill. But now it's literally personal. Like, he is unironically Asmad over this. I don't know why. But, like, it's the first time he actually bans people. Now here's the thing with banning people, right? When you stop looking at the world through an ideological lens and you just look at the world through power dynamics, everything makes sense, right? So, why is Elon pussyfooting when it comes to Brazil? Well, because Brazil has power. Why is Elon pussyfooting when it comes to the conflict between Israel and Palestine? Well, because Israel has power. Why is Elon pussyfooting when it comes to China? Well, because he has power. Why doesn't Elon give a shit about the Groypers? Like, basically, if you want to be taken seriously, you gotta have something. And this is true in almost every single relationship that humanity has. If you want to impose yourself, you need to have something. You don't necessarily need to have money, wealth, or power. You need to have something. Like, you need to have something that can make the other person's worthwhile to listen to you. You need to convince that the other person is worthy of listening to you. And if you got nothing, then why are you surprised that the person doesn't give a shit? Not to mention, I may be wrong with this. I haven't followed the events, but aren't the Groypers pro-Democrats? I mean, not all, obviously, but didn't Nick, one of the influential people in the movement, tell people not to vote for Trump? And if that's the mindset, then why would he listen? You're not even they're not even voting for your team. And so, Elon allowing them on the platform after they got banned, because, I think, Nick actually did get banned, and then he was allowed to come back, right? He didn't have to do that. But if I see posts like this bombarding the man, and again, this is just one example, right? Like, when I went to his timeline, it was filled with this shit. Why did Elon Musk lie about H-1B visas? Where did I lie? Answered the question. Did your son become trans? Of how often? You know that Elon is really upset about the situation with his son. You're aware that the man, from what I saw, from all the interviews, and from all, I genuinely think he cares about the relationship he had with his son. And attacking him like that. And it wasn't just one guy, it was just Leroy. This is just one of the posts that I saved. But it was filled with them. It's what the fuck do you expect? And then it was the thing that I think pushed him over the edge was faking a screenshot. It was a screenshot where apparently Elon said that he wants to hire cheap labor over Americans because it's just more economically profitable. Now, I don't know if a Groyper made that. Probably not. But he's probably going to use guilt by association now. He's just going to go well, I'm opening my Twitter. I see these people just spurging at me, and they all have something in common. They all have, the frog avatars, and they all have the crosses, and okay, who the fuck are these people? He probably asked someone at the Trust and Safety Council. Who are they? They probably have, maps and shit, and they know who they are, and it's all right, we'll ban the account. And now, you got people saying, see, he's evil. He banned us. It's yeah. I don't think he should have, but, okay, and? Jack Dorsey banned you as well. Elon unbanned you. And then you pissed him off, and you got banned again. Interesting. I'm not for banning, by the way, but, when you go after someone's kids, he is going to start doing guilt by association. Because he's a human being. He's not a Vulcan. Yeah, it's not like Elon can read your DMs. Thank you for the $4.99, Ram. Not seeing how hundreds of thousands of immigrant workers would marginalize the American workforce is truly autistic. No, I think he knows. But what I think is, people don't understand that he's a globalist. This was... Duh. But not only that, throughout the entire campaign, both Elon and Trump were very outspoken over the fact that, yeah, we're going to limit illegal immigration, but if you want to come into the country, you're going to come legally. They kept saying this. At no point did they delude the voting base that they're going to do anything else besides this. And now people are like, well, why aren't you doing more? See, like here's my take. If I was an American, it's like you got two problems there. You got the illegal immigration, and let's say that this is problem number two. Like, let's say you're a groyper and you're like, legal immigration is also bad. Okay, if they fix the illegal immigration even a little bit, and they lower down the cartels and the crime and everything like that, then maybe the next president can start putting a cap on the legal immigrations. Be right back. Give me 1 second. I want to see why my son is crying. Alright, he's getting a nappy change. Elon specifically has used medical procedure to ensure all of his children come out male. The son coming out as a woman is kind of self-correction. Is that a thing? Can you, like, dude, I didn't even learn in med school you can do that. Can you actually, like, use medical procedure to make the gender of your... I don't fucking believe that. Hold on, let me... Are there medical procedures to influence the gender of the child? Apparently there is pre-implantation genetic diagnosis. This method is used in conjunction with in vitro fertilization. After an egg retrieval and fertilization, embryos are tested for genetic conditions, including sex determination. I see. By the way, I'm actually surprised that America's, well, right-wingers aren't against in vitro fertilization. Because it's also like, I mean, technically, it's abortion. Well, probably they don't know science, huh? Do Americans know science? I think some do, but like many don't. So how does in vitro fertilization work? Well, if you can't have kids the normal way, you go there and you donate sperm, right? Like if you're, let's say you're a male, and this is like actually something that's quite proeminent now due to the sedentary lifestyle, the obesity crisis, so on and so forth. Like a lot of men become infertile, but the infertility isn't 100%. Like you can still sire offsprings. It's just that you need medical intervention. And so you go to a clinic and you jerk it in a cup, and then the woman goes there and she has her eggs taken, and then they take one of your sperm and inject it into the egg, and they make like 5 or 6 embryos, right? And then they take one of the embryo and they implant it into the woman. And so sometimes it takes, sometimes it doesn't take. Usually the first one may not, but the second one will, right? But when you have a baby, let's say you have like 5 eggs, right, like that are viable, because usually they take like, let's say 7, and out of those 7, maybe 2 or 3 aren't viable, and then you have the rest. You get one that's implanted, doesn't take, and then maybe the next one does, right? And then you still have those embryos that you didn't use. And many couples, they choose not to use them. That's abortion, right? I'm surprised that no right-winger has picked up on this. It's actually interesting. I was looking at the religious aspect, like when does a life become a life? And even the church had different interpretation of this. Like when it comes to the Jews, they believe that life comes at the first breath. Right, so this is why a lot of Jewish organizations, they get upset if you ban abortion, because like they don't believe that life exists before the first breath. But I was curious about Christianity, like what did the Christians think? And I was surprised to see that the opinions are actually different throughout history. So now, most churches and denominations, they do believe that life happens at conception. So basically, like the moment that the sperm hit the egg, that's when life begins, right? So that's a soul. But That wasn't the case in medieval time. You know why? Because apparently, child mortality, especially like infant mortality, was so high. Well, I mean, not so high, but it was very common. And the idea that your unborn child is burning in hell didn't really sit well with many people. And so the church was trying to figure out a different interpretation. It was like, I mean, okay, like, fine. They're not burning in hell because they don't really have a soul until the first breath. I'm pretty sure, like, it's more elaborate. Like, a priest can explain it better. But they had quotes and Bible shit. So I'm just, like, interested in how the morality changed throughout the years. Obviously, it's at conception. That's when the genotype fully forms. I see. American Outlier. V, don't forget Elon is pro-environmental to an extent with Tesla, solar, and transhumanist, as well as Neuralink. See, the thing with the environment, it's actually an interesting topic. I looked into the Chinese environmentalism. And apparently China is actually pro-environmentalist at home and very pollutant abroad. The thing with environmentalism in China is because they actually do have certain industrial cities where you can't see the sun because the pollution is so high. So the people there are genuinely complaining. They're not complaining about like carbon dioxide. They're complaining because they can't breathe and the water is fucking tainted. And so like some environmentalism is good. With Elon Musk, I mean, I don't know if he's genuinely an environmentalist. I don't think like he actually cares or he believes that carbon is a pollutant. I do think that it's a business, right? He's selling electric cars, and so of course he's going to be an environmentalist. Thank you, Rating Terror, for the $2. I appreciate it. Don't think killing embryonic cells is considered abortion. Drax, depending who you ask, right? Like in some places it's not. I personally wouldn't consider it. But if you go to like a very religious person that believes that life happens at conception, then yes, like an embryonic cell is alive. Like it has a soul. They unironically believe that. And so if it has a soul and it dies, or you willingly allow it to die, then it's murder. At home, you're joking, right? No, like internally, the CCP actually is trying to do efforts into keeping some cities clean. Like they will usually designate an area, like a city. It's like, okay, like dump all the shit in here, and we keep it in here. Or they can try to outsource and build it outside of China. But now, like since 2020, they are actually trying to make efforts into keeping their cities clean. Not from carbon, mind you, but from actual toxic sludge. How can unborn children go to hell? Very simple. They didn't get baptized. Why are people so baffled? I mean, okay, every single time I need to mention, it depends on the denomination. I think like with Catholics, they go to limbo. In Orthodox teachings, we don't have limbo. They go to hell. Like, it's very clear. Like if you die and you're not baptized, you don't even get buried on holy ground. Dying before birth means they weren't born with the original sin. I don't know, man. Let me hold on. I'm actually curious now. If you die before, no, hold on. But I mean, by this logic, right? If you have a child that's birthed in a lab, right, like in an artificial vat or something like that, they never get quote unquote born. But from a Christianity standpoint, they do have the original sin. Like you have the original sins the moment you start existing. Because the moment you get a soul, you have the original sin. It's irrelevant if you pass through the birth canal. Like, okay, so if you get a C-sec, right? Like, if you get a C-sec, is that like a person without the original sin? You don't have to be religious to recognize that life starts at conception. I mean, it is life, but the question is, like, do we consider it to be sentient? I think, like, that's the thing, right? Like, that is what differentiates a living organism. That, like what differentiate what we consider a living organism. Like, if you have a person, right, that's, let's say, a motorcyclist, and he gets into an accident, and he's now brain dead. But he is still alive, right? Like, he is still breathing, like, he's still, but he's brain dead. He's in a vegetative state. He will never be able to talk again. He will never be able to walk again. This is why in some countries, it's like, that's a prime candidate for organ harvesting. And the family would agree, and honestly, I would fucking agree if it happened to me. Like, if I ended up ever being brain dead, at that point, just, I don't fucking care. Like, it's over. You don't come back from that. How sentient is your baby? Very sentient. Like, it looks around, it talks, it's able to cry, it's able to vocalize its needs. Motocross Copper. The difference between simple legal immigration and H-1B. The first one is just accepting people willing to legally apply for permission to enter. And H-1B is the state proactively seeking for immigration. My troll just died. I do agree with Motocross Cooper, though. Can he enjoy a steak? No. Sin is like entropy. What? That's an interesting way to put it. First time, and Presto was notified that I'm live. Jesus. I really dislike the YouTube algorithm. I keep streaming, I keep doing my best, and yet, yeah. It depends. If you think sentience requires self-awareness, babies do not have self-awareness for a couple of years. I think they do have self-awareness quite fast. I mean, my son is able to look around, recognize people. It's able to recognize his hand. No, I think he does have self-awareness. No, they don't. Look up the rogue test. Well, if they don't, they're close enough to fake it, and so they still get rights. See, the thing in Europe when it comes to abortions, most countries, they usually allow it up until like 8 weeks or so. And if you're a person that's with its head on its shoulders, like, you know, when you have sex, you know that you can test yourself. Like, here's the thing that I don't fucking get, right? Like, this is a cope that I got, like, from a lot of people, because Texas is shortening the time in which you can have an abortion, then it's making them illegal. No, it's fucking not. How did people test themselves every 24 hours for COVID? Like, every 24 hours you had to get that shit up your nose, right? To get a pregnancy test just means, like, you gotta pee on something. Like, what if you are having unprotected sex, or if you're just having sex, why is it so difficult? Just take one of those tests and pee on it, and you can see if you're pregnant or not. You can do it every Saturday, like a routine. I'm guessing that the babies have a sense of self, can observe and interact with the world, but cannot comprehend its existence. Yeah, it's actually really fascinating, because I was looking about it. Like, there is this thing called children amnesia. So, like, most of us don't remember what happened in the first 2 years of our life. Some of us do, though, which is weird. But, yeah, no, I think that babies do understand. Like, they understand the smell of the mother. Like, they're actually having a very developed sense of smell, because, like, they can't really see when they're newly born, and the smell of the mother calms them down. Like, that's just one example. No, I think, like, they're aware. No, I think they are sentient. But yeah, exactly as you mentioned, I think like they don't really understand exactly what the world is, but like they can definitely know that things are happening around them and have like a limited comprehension of what those are. Like for instance, when the baby is like 6 months, it starts to recognize faces and it actually gets scared of strangers. Like if a new person comes in and they see a new face, they actually start to cry. Like that is an example of self-awareness. Imagine remembering lying in your crib with a stinky diaper. No, like people actually remember, there's people that remember life in the uterus. Like they will say, like I was, like it was red and I could hear a drum or something like that. There's videos on YouTube where kids describe it, and it's like, what the fuck? You know, Elon doesn't control every single account axing, don't you? To suggest otherwise, it would be a little silly. No, but the accounts that fucked with him personally and then got banned, I definitely think that he banned. I genuinely think like the people that unironically started picking on his kid in front of him and then they got banned, I think that he may have banned them. You don't believe it? Look it up on YouTube. Like there's a lot of videos with that. The main reason why people have amnesia, like my understanding is like, why do children have amnesia before 2 years? Is because you don't have language developed yet, so you can't really compartmentalize your memories. That's one of the explanations. Does Elon even run his own account? 100% yes. I've no doubt. Can buy pregnancy test at the dollar store now. We could have a culture where government supplies them for the poor. No! Promote the habit of testing. No! Like, why would I pay for other people to fuck? Why do I want to sponsor fucking? It's like, I'm not there when they're fucking, but like, my taxpayer money needs to go to, so that they get, no. Buy your own. It's not that fucking expensive. Jesus. Babies are born with racism. It's for survival. It is true. It's not racism though. Like they just cry when they see foreigners. Like foreign people, not foreigners as in like anyone that doesn't look like their parent. Like if the parents have like if the father has a mustache and he sees a person without a mustache, they start crying. There was like another idea from feminists that why do women need to buy tampons? Why can't they be free? And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, why should I pay for another woman's tampons? Like, if my wife needs tampons, I will buy her. But like, why should I buy tampons for someone else that I don't fucking know? And I never got the explanation from that. Anyway, I'm going to go and use the 100 stealth archer build. Gonna play some Path of Exile too. Thank you guys for coming. Appreciate the super chats. And I'll see you all